The best and most stirring political speech I've heard in the last 2 decades came just last week. It was by a Leave supporter, not a politician, who has now decided to stand alongside Nigel Farage for the Brexit party in the forthcoming Euro elections. She's not right-wing at all. She's a former communist. Claire Fox.
This is a watershed moment for democracy, and for me that means democratic principles override left-right allegiances. Why? Because democracy matters. Why I'm standing in solidarity with the millions of citizens whose voices and votes have been traduced and trashed.
You're from the left. You know, I've always thought of you as being a lefty. And in fact, you were once in the RCP, the Revolutionary Communist Party. What are you doing with Farage?
Why are you with Farage is more that why aren't the left running the campaign?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that would be what you'd say. And you can't criticise Nigel Farage for setting up a party that says we should see through the referendum result, when in fact, sadly, on the left, there hasn't been that movement built. One of the things that happened to me was I kept meeting Leave voters, actually Labour Leave voters who wanted particularly to talk to me, who were almost in tears at what had happened. Furious, but also in despair. And because I'm on the telly a bit and on the radio, there was a bit of a, you go back to London and you tell them, or
because you're from the Northwest, aren't you?
And can you do something about it? And I did, you know, I was like, oh, and I felt somehow that I had a responsibility to speak out, and I was doing that when I could in the media and so on. But in the end, I just thought, you know, if people think that nobody will defend their vote, then what will come of this is the worst kind of political disengagement from politics and from democracy that we've ever seen.
Hugely corrosive.
Absolutely damaging.
The simple point is, cut away all the right and left wing of it, it simply is an issue of democracy, isn't it? That a democratic vote was taken and should be respected and upheld, not respected and ignored.
So one of the big pleas that I want to make is also to Remain voters, because many of my friends voted Remain, and the majority of them, and some of my family, and the majority of them took the approach that the good guys lost and they were devastated. But the majority of those people then said, okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's make the best of this. Let's think how we can make the
most of it.
And no
second vote.
Never thought about a second vote.
Because it's interesting you say that, Claire. Most of my friends are probably Remainers as well. And I do not know one of them who wants a second vote.
No. Anyone who voted to leave the European Union has been treated as though they're less than human, less than compos mentis, you know.
That's absolutely right.
Horrible, a kind of version of racial thinking where you used to say there's a group of people who should be treated as less than human.
Yeah.
That's the way. Many of them from ethnic minorities, treated as though they are to be dismissed and despised.
You've got opponents. And one of your opponents, they're trying to get famous people as well, of course, and they've managed to pull in Rachel Johnson. This is the party which used to be called the Independent Group of MPs, the Tiggers, and is now called Change for UK, I think. And they've got Rachel Johnson. 2 questions about this. One, in which possible meaning of the word change does someone who supports remaining within the EU and is a social liberal and a Johnson represent change? I would just ask you that. And the second question, I don't expect you to answer that. Do you look forward to the day when Rachel, in order to press her point forward, bares her breasts live on television? Will that happen?
I will say about Tiggers and Change, if I may, they've come out, you know, in a way, because they've said, oh no, we just want to give a democratic voice to the British people again, and we want to campaign to remain in the European Union. So thank God we know, not that we didn't, but they made it very clear. They want to remain in the European Union and they are determined to not let us leave. And with a platform like that, I hope they get the trouncing in the polls that they deserve.
Claire Fox, thanks so much.